Hi and welcome to Geekology. I'm David Spear.
And I'm Sven Hobby.
And today we're going to do the unboxing of the Star Trek Kre-o created, God that's a mouthful, Klingon Bird-of-Prey. We've been slightly delayed in the making of this one if you watched our previous one of the Enterprise, due to the fact that I got married and went on honeymoon. Woohoo! Nice shiny new ring.
It's not as good as Green Lanterns though.
Yeah, but it's not as heavy as Frodo's.
That's so cool.
So we are now going to cut to the photos of the art packaging on the box. Okay, so by the miracles of modern technology, we have now done that. So we are now going to go to the unboxing process. Please don't do this at home, kids. Not because I'm worried about you playing with knives, it's just I don't want you damaging the packaging on your toys. There was actually a toy company that released a special knife for unpackaging all of its toys, and I really wish I could remember the name of it.
I think it was a dish knife.
Yeah, I'm sure that some clever bunny will Google it and tell us who they were. Okay, so what we have here is... Yeah, should we tip that around that way? That would make sense. Okay, so we've got yet another heavy instruction book. Yeah. Standard safety gun.
I think we've got a Klingon there.
Ooh, imaginative stickers. Look, clear and grey battle damage, and the ugliest
That's supposed to be
Klingon symbol I have ever seen.
Klingon.
Bag full of specialist parts, including, and I must admit, I really do like the specialist light up blocks that you pull there. That's quite nice.
Cool. And there's a blur.
Hasbro. Yep. More corner pieces, more sweet pieces.
Again, quite a few specialist bits, but not as many, anywhere near as many as the Enterprise, obviously.
Well, this kit only contains...
How many parts is it?
See, you'd think I'd have known that before starting this.
236.
236, where the Enterprise was...
432.
There you go.
By the miracles of modern technology, we'll now go to some time-lapse photography of us building this bird of prey. See?
So, here we are 40 minutes later. Pros and cons. Should we go for the cons first?
No, I think we'll probably do the pros first.
Why? Because it's a shorter list.
Yeah, it's a shorter list.
Okay, go on, go for your pros.
Okay, one of the things I noticed there is some very interesting parts. Some nice design features. I mean, that's particularly caught my eye.
I did like the fact that they used the metallic plastic as well.
Metallic plastic on that, which is quite cool. This cowling looks quite decent here, the cowling.
The hinge points?
The hinge points, yes, the fact it's ball and socket joints, essentially. So you can hinge the wings up and down. And
due to the size and the fact they use two on both, means it really just feel quite strong.
Yeah, sturdy, going anywhere. So that's quite decent. That's quite decent.
They did use the multicolour block piece for the lights that they used in the small play sets.
Yeah.
Which I have to say I'm quite fond of that. That's a nice piece.
They have done some painting on the cockpit differently to the version that's in the photography. So there's this sort of like surround on the cockpit here.
I suspect they changed the colour of the plastic as well.
Yeah.
Do you think it's probably red in the original?
Yeah, and they've changed that, so that's interesting. Though that looks a little bit better in the mode. We'll show you in a little bit later what the drawback of doing that is on there. You like the missile launchers, don't you?
Love the okay, they use some interesting construction points and ideas in it. I agreed with you. I did like the metallic plastic. I did like the cowling. I thought the hinge points were very good. It was nice, very easy for a child to play with, and they break it off and put it back on, no problem. And unlike most ball and socket hinge points, Kre-o always make them quite thick, so that they don't snap easy, which is good considering it's meant to be for a child to play thing. But what I really hated about the Enterprise version was that they dedicated a huge section of the fuselage for the torpedo launcher, which was obviously metal sprung on the inside, which kids get things where the springs break, you shouldn't leave them constantly wound and all the rest of it. Where this one, they just use a very simple physics. Okay, I did that a bit soft. I'll do it at the. They did it using very, very simple physics, just nicely cantilevered. So you put it down and. There you go.
Gets me in the nuts.
Now, when you consider that there's one moving part that's on a hinge point, and they managed from getting the torpedo that is that large in the Enterprise down to just that, I think that's a massive difference. If they'd have thought about putting that in the Enterprise, I personally would have preferred it. And you know what? They could have done that with the main defect edition, push the defect edition, and
they could have had two torpedo
tubes then instead of one. So I think that was a really nice feature. Okay, we've got to go with the cons now.
Well, let's first, before we go that far, I mean, the cool things about the hinges is, of course, you can have it in its various configurations, so for landing, for flight, and I would assume for attacking.
Yeah, but the downside to that is that they've done it so that when it's in its upper attack mode, that parts lock into position there, but they didn't do it in the down mode, and there's no way the ship would ever do that unless it's impersonating JJ's next project, and they're going to walk across killing Ewoks.
Have you heard this
rumours? Klingons killing Ewoks, I could live with that.
Have you heard the rumours that Zac Efron might be playing Luke Skywalker's son?
No.
Young Skywalker.
Oh yes, because the franchises love one another. Right. So you were going to say about the rest of the cons for you?
Right. I mean, annoying as it is, there are lots and lots of lovely little parts on there, as I said, like cowling and so on and so forth. But they don't add up to be greater. The whole doesn't add up to be greater than the parts, which is.
So bizarre. Individually, you really like certain parts,
but when you put it together, it's just like
it doesn't work for you.
No.
Okay. Well, I think the recommended retail on this is what?
30 quid.
I think 30 quid it's fine.
Yeah.
It's good entertainment value. The stickers irritated the living hell out of me. Now I know you weren't a big fan of these ones, and I agree with you. They're not very good. But what annoyed me were these ones. Now, let me tip that up, and I'm sure that future Sven can edit for a zoom. They use dark grey on clear plastic, on clear print, to give this sort of battle damaged effect on light grey plastic parts. Fine, the stickers go, that works. But then they came up with a really clever idea of using the same clear plastic stickers on the dark grey parts and printing in lighter grey, which you've got to be about 2 inches away from to actually make it out. So
and when you're on the sticker sheet, you can't even see the sticker.
No, on the sticker sheet it looked completely clear. So I really disliked that, and I really hated the Klingon symbols. But I can't blame the company for what I'm fairly convinced is probably the right artwork from what they were given.
Yeah.
So
that's how they appeared in the film. It's just that in the film they were wrong. But there is an option with those, is that because they're dirt and battle damage and that kind of thing, you can always not put them on and have sort of like a pristine version of the Bird-of-Prey out of the factory.
You know, I
Which wouldn't
honestly
work with
think
Klingon.
without the stickers on those two sections, that would really just emphasise that this is a big chunk of Lego. Not Kre-o, sorry. Gotta stop calling it Lego.
I wouldn't worry. Lego ripped off Kittycraft in the first place.
Well, yes. Yeah, but you've got to bear in mind, even though that was a British company and a fantastic idea, very few people would actually know that Lego was a copy of an original British toy. You know, so mind you, saying that, talking of actually, it's not a copy. It's not a copy at all. When I was in Barcelona, I was in a little wonderful board game shop over there, and they had this really great stuff by it was called Castle Gecko. From Gecko Toys, which you can find on. If you Google it, I'm sure it comes up. I think it's something like
Geckotoys.eu, but Gecko is Gecco.
They have a range of castles that are done in the multi-format brick system, not compatible with Lego.
No.
They've got a nice little sort of daisy concept instead of the round pins.
Yeah.
Specialist parts throughout. Each castle is completely made up of specialist parts, but they're specialist parts as in they're curved in a specific way. So unlike this, where you could break this down and make, I don't know, a few things out of it, the specialist parts would not be much use to you. When these castles, they would be. You just make other parts of a similar castle.
Yeah.
But the detailing on those toys were phenomenal, and it retailed for roughly what the Lego equivalent would be, but it came in a solid plastic carry box. The artwork was just seriously. Okay, I know it's not geek, but if you're into the entertainment value of building block and Meccano and Lego, hold the range. Though we will be seeing a lot more of that company. Definitely for our children. Whether they'll ever break into the niche markets of doing the specialist bits for the adults is debatable. But I think on a par with Kre-o, it's definitely value for money.
Cool. So. But back to the Bird-of-Prey.
Yeah.
I mean, we have got a few niggles, but it's not really Kre-o's fault or Hasbro's.
Oh, you're on about the fact it's bloody ugly ship, aren't you?
Yeah, and the fact it's not a Bird-of-Prey. This is a Klingon Bird-of-Prey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No one is going to argue with you that especially with the corgi toys. I mean, these things are gorgeous. That this is the Bird-of-Prey that we all grew up with and we all loved, and it's just 1,000 times better looking than the new ones.
But then that's all to do with the concept of the reimagination, because it's like in Star Trek Into Darkness, this is a small two-person craft that just happens to have a squad of troopers in the back, whereas these, when they were first introduced in Star Trek 3 crew interceptors, scout class, but with about the same weaponry as a frigate, though outgunned by a heavy frigate like the Enterprise. And then,
but far more manoeuvrable than the Enterprise.
And then when they turned up in Next Gen, there was a bigger version which had a crew.
There was a few bigger versions, wasn't there?
Well,
same design, but
there was the Brel class and the Cavort class, wasn't there? It was the Cavort class was the bigger one that had a larger crew on board. But basically, the only reason for that happening was the fact that they used the same model. And next to the Enterprise D,
scale it up.
They basically had to make up the fact that there was a ship that was double the size from the same model. So that's how they got away with that. But that's certainly a much more interesting vessel, and it has got positional wings, as everybody knows, in the movies and the show. But this looks.
There isn't a comparison.
If anything, this looks a bit too human.
Actually,
it looks like something from Stargate.
That was exactly what I was going to go.
It's an X-304.
The 304s. Yeah, well,
the
again,
301, 302 and 303 we saw in Stargate. This is obviously the next generation of them.
No, I do, I've had my franchise messed with enough. I do not need to see a next generation version of a reboot. That's just taking.
They're already talking about it.
No.
I know. Well, now it's Jonathan Frakes doing it, we're like, oh, what are you doing?
He'll be directing. Anyway, back to the toy. So, what do you think?
It's 30 quid. It's not bad. If you like the new movies, you'll probably enjoy it. A lot of older Trek fans are going to be looking at it going, that's not a Bird-of-Prey.
And not Klingons either.
No. I mean, that's one thing that's really annoying me actually. Is look, the hair comes off Kirk, as one would expect.
You need that.
You need that. The hair comes off Uhura, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, so we'd like to change their stars.
Yeah. So why on earth is the Klingon helmet stuck onto the head? You can't take the helmets off.
I don't know.
Which is just silly. So considering we actually saw Klingons without their helmets on, unlike the footage in the first of the reboot films, we've actually seen them with a helmet on. Why can't the helmets be taken off? That's just lazy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'll agree with you on that because they did the same with the smaller transporter.
Yeah.
They do exactly the same. I'll tell you what else they did with the transporter that annoyed me, and this has the same characteristic, was when you use the ratchet system for the transporter, if your figure in the transporter has the phaser out, he jams on it. You've actually got to have the arms in and down, and this one, if you want the Klingon sitting in thing, he's actually got to lie down.
By sitting, we kind of say, lying. Really.
Yeah, he's actually got to lie down on it.
So, yeah. Which isn't awfully clear in the graphics, but again, that's because of this paintwork here, which isn't on the prototype in the images, so you can't actually see the Klingon's face through it at most angles, like this would suggest, while it's lying down. I mean, lying down is probably okay, but it's not what you think when you look at the graphics on the manual and the...
Yeah, but if you look at the graphics they used on the box and on the manual, you can see that they used gold flecks in the paint. Not in the paint, in the plastic. Yeah. Which obviously they didn't go with. Probably a cost issue more than anything else. They normally are.
So. But I mean, 30 quid. Yeah. It's still, better than 30 quid with the Lego probably would have been.
Depending on the set, I'd agree. Yeah, definitely more specialist parts.
Yeah, again. Which we found with the Enterprise. So yeah, value for money certainly there. If you're a fan of the new Trek, of the JJ Trek stuff, then you probably like it. A lot of other people are going to be going,
It's not. I've got to admit, it's built. It's going to go back in the box and be put in the attic because I'll keep the figures out. Put the figures with the Enterprise one because that I have displayed quite nicely in my living room because I'm that sad. But no, this isn't going on display anyway.
But I must say, I've got a feeling this would have a lot of play value for your under 14s.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see the kids playing with that quite a bit. Especially because they don't have a choice. If they want a Klingon Bird-of-Prey from Star Trek Into Darkness, there is no other.
No, the mini Klingon vessel for that was Valkyrie.
Yeah, so that's the only Bird-of-Prey you can get from Into Darkness. So.
Okay, well thank you very much for watching, and we will see you on the next video. Good night.
Good night.
Da la la.